I think we are live now. All right. So what I'm going to do now is that I'll share my screen and then we'll go through the agenda for today. Okay. So the agenda for today is chapter 1. We'll be concluding chapter 1 today with the last 5 verses, 42 to 46. And as usual, this particular session is also dedicated to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. He is the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and he is my spiritual grandfather. I would also like to dedicate this session to my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj, Srila Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. And I hope that this humble effort of mine will be pleasing to my Guru and to Srila Prabhupada. Whatever I am going to speak today, I will simply repeat what I have heard in the lectures of Srila Prabhupada. I will simply repeat what I have read in the books of Srila Prabhupada. And I will simply repeat what I have learned from my Siksha Gurus and the Guru Parampara of ISKCON. So this is going to be the agenda. We will first do some Mangala Charan. We will invoke some auspiciousness by chanting some pranam mantras. And then we will go through the shlokas 42 to 46. And we will conclude the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And then if time permits, we'll have a question and answer, or else as discussed, next week we can have a dedicated session completely for question and answers. Okay. So this is the agenda for today. Give me a second so that I can bring the shlokas up. Okay, Sita Mataji, you can just follow after me, and then we will read the translation as well as the purport. Okay.
Okay.
दोषे रहते कुलघ्ना नाम
दोषे रहते कुलग्ना नाम
वर्ण संकर कारके
वर्ण संकर कारके
उत्साद्यन्ते जाति धर्मः
उत्स्यादन्ते जाति धर्मा
कुल धर्माश्च शाश्वतः.
कुल धर्माश्च शाश्वतः.
Okay, you can read the translation and the purport, Maharaj, please.
Okay. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. The purport says community projects for the 4 orders of human society combined with family welfare activities as they are set forth by the institution of Sanatan Dharma or Varnashrama Dharma are designed to enable the human being to attain the ultimate salvation. Therefore, the breaking of Sanatana Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of the society brings about chaos in the society, and consequently, people forget the aim of life, Vishnu. Such leaders are called blind, and the persons who follow such leaders are sure to be led into chaos.
Yes. So very nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada. Although just few lines of purport, but it gives so much depth to this particular shloka. So yes, we need to understand that we had understood the concept of Varna Shankara, right, in the previous verses. So Varna Shankara means that when all the male members of a particular society are destroyed, as we are about to see in this battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjun is apprehensive of that fact that all the male members will be killed, and then what will happen? That the children and women will remain unprotected, and the irresponsible men from all around, they will actually come and uh, kind of pollute the women, and because of that, some unwanted progeny will come up who will be very irreligious in nature. They will not follow any religious principle. They will have complete disregard for all the religious principles which are there. So such kind of progeny is known as Varna Shankara, right? So Arjun is actually, very scared that this particular battle or this particular fight will result in a calamity, and it will not only kill all the members from both the parties, but it will also lead to the Varna Shankara in the society. And with that, what will happen? Irreligion will prevail, right? So, with this particular fear, he is trying to convince Krishna that, oh Krishna, let's not fight. Let's give up our idea of having the kingdom, and then we can live peacefully, right? So this is the kind of argument which Arjun is trying to give here. Okay, so the important thing in this particular verse that we see is that if the unwanted population or the Varna Sankara, they actually, if they take up to the leadership role in a society, then what happens? There is an utter chaos in the society. Why? Because since they are irreligious in nature, they have complete disregard for any religious practices or the Sanatan Dharma or the Varnashram system, which is basically meant for the upliftment of humankind, right? So that they can slowly, uh, step by step elevate themselves on the path of spirituality, and ultimately they can reach the ultimate goal of life, which is to break the cycle of life and death. Okay, this is the only aim of human life. Every other activity that we are doing all around is just like, what can I say, a time pass or a wastage of time, basically, including our own professions that we are engaged in. Okay, we have to earn money because the social setup is such that one has to have some money in order to sustain themselves, right? Otherwise there is no need for all these things. We have seen in the previous verses also that the animals, for example, say an elephant. An elephant eats 50 kgs a day, right? But an elephant doesn't have to go to office and slog for 10 or 14 hours to earn some money, and then they will get some food, right? It's not like that. Okay, so Krishna is taking care of an elephant also. He is taking care of a small ant also, right? So why he will not take care of the human beings? Now, this doesn't mean that we should give up our occupation and we should completely try to take to the renounced order of life. Though that is also not recommended in Kali Yuga. And let's not disturb the social order. Let's be sensible and let it be how it is. But the whole point is that if an unwanted population takes up to the leadership role, then there is an utter chaos because they forget all the basic principle of the basic aim of human life, which is to attain Vishnu or Krishna and to break the cycle of life and death. Okay, they will completely disregard all the Varnashram dharma which is there, or the eternal dharma, or the Sanatan dharma which is there, and then they will come up with their own philosophies and theories. Okay, so the entire society becomes chaotic, because of that. And if you look around, you will see that whatever is Arjun saying today and whatever is prevalent in the society today, they are very similar, right? We are facing the same issues in the society. The entire society is in an utter chaos, right? So why is it so? The reason is that one, yes, all of us are basically Varna Sankaras. I mean, we have seen that in order to produce good offspring, in order to not have Varna Sankaras in the society, what was the sanskar that we used to do? That was the Garbhadan sanskar, right? Which is completely forgotten in this age of Kali Yuga. No one actually follows it. Some, yeah, good devotees who have taken to Krishna consciousness, they are following it. Some couples are there, but still we have a long way to go, right? But most of us, I mean, even I didn't know it right before coming to Krishna consciousness. I'm sure most of you didn't knew it, before attending the last session, that there is something called as Garbhadhan Sanskar also, right? So because we are all Varna Sankaras, there is a free mixing, within the society. So obviously, the chaos will be prevalent. Okay. And why this is happening? Because we have forgotten our eternal culture. Okay. We do not take to the life manual, the best life manual, the Bhagavad Gita, which we have. Okay. But the only thing is that the moment we start following the Bhagavad Gita, it will just be a matter of time that the entire population, they will just take a U-turn and start heading in the right direction, which is to perfect the human life. Okay. So in order to do that, like, see, we alone cannot change the entire society. Okay, we are very small, and what can we do to change the entire society? But surely we can create an impact from our side. And how can we do that? By first ourselves reading the Bhagavad Gita and trying to, follow, trying and try to imbibe the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita within us, and then implement it in our day-to-day lives. Once we are able to do that successfully, then and only then we can, try to impart that knowledge and spread that knowledge to others and encourage others to also read the Bhagavad Gita. Right? So it starts from ourselves first. Let's perfect ourselves first, and then we can think of changing the entire society. Okay, because it's a big task. It's going to take some time. But yes, if everyone decides that they will play their part, then I think it's not a difficult thing to achieve. Okay, so this is what Srila Prabhupada is also saying, that if one Sankaras or the irreligious or unwanted population, they take up to the leadership role, then the entire society goes into utter chaos, and ultimately it leads to the destruction of the whole society. Okay. So with that, we will try to move on to the next verse. Let me share my screen again. Okay. Usha Mataji, would you like to read? Let me go to the next verse. Yes. Please, if you can try yourself reading, or if you need some help, then please let me know. I'll recite and you can follow.
We'll read it, Prabhuji.
You'll try to read? Okay.
Yes.
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant, Mataji. Come on.
Thank you. उत्सन्नकुल धर्माणां मनुष्याणां जनार्दन नरके नियतं वासो भवतीत्य अनुशुष्मा.
Very nice, Mataji. So happy to see you coming a long way.
Yes, Prabhuji. After a long time, I'm coming on.
Yeah, please go ahead with the translation as well as purport.
Sure. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Arjuna bases his argument not on his personal experience, but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. There is a system in the Varnashrama institution by which before death one has to undergo the process of atonement for his sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of atonement called the Prayaschita. Without doing so, one surely will be transformed to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as a result of sinful activities.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So this is another very important verse to understand. So one very important thing to see here is that the term which is used as Anushruma, okay, that I have heard from disciplic succession. Now see, why this disciplic succession is so important. I'll just try to explain with an example. Like Arjun over here is not saying that according to me, or in my opinion, or I feel, these kind of phrases he is not using. What he's saying Anushruma, that I have heard from the disciplic succession. Okay, so he's laying a lot of stress on that Guru Shishya Parampara, which is there. So that importance I'll try to highlight, like why it is so important here. Right. So, for example, if I want to, know what is a plus b the whole square, okay, the formula for that. So I cannot say that according to me, a plus b the whole square should be, or I think a plus b whole square should be, or in my opinion, it should be, right? We cannot do that. Okay. In order to understand what is a plus b the whole square, either we have to approach a subject matter expert of that particular subject, okay, who can tell us for sure that what is the formula for a plus b the whole square, or we can refer an authorized or bona fide book written by one such authorized scholar, right, who actually explains this entire concept through a book, correct? So these are the only two ways, okay? So similarly, when it comes to spirituality, we cannot just, play around with some our own mental concoction, okay? That according to me, I think God is, or I think this shloka is like that. Because, uh, like I was just going through one of the purports or one of the lectures of Srila Prabhupada, where he was saying that lot of times, how people concord this Bhagavad Gita. There are so many editions of Bhagavad Gita, available here. But why this Bhagavad Gita as it is, which we are following right now, is so different from the others? Because Prabhupada himself was saying that once he was going through a purport or the explanation of one such Bhagavad Gita written by some scholar, and like how he started is that this battlefield of Kurukshetra is our mind, and the Pandavas represent our five senses, five Pandavas. So this is all mental concoction, right? It's nothing like that. Is just as it is, right? Krishna and Arjuna were there on the battlefield. Pandavas were the brothers. They were waging a war against Kauravas to get the kingdom which was rightfully theirs, right? There is no scope for concocting this, that okay, this is our mind and this is our senses and all those nonsense. Okay, so this is where the Guru Shishya Parampara comes in, and this is what Srila Prabhupada has done, for us. That he has presented the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Okay, so no need to go anywhere else. Just try to listen to some authorized ISKCON speakers who are there. They are also very good. And best is that just follow the books Srila Prabhupada has written. Okay, in that way we will be in the Guru Shishya Parampara, and that is the reason why we lay so much stress on Siksha. Okay, all those who are in the group, basically the WhatsApp group, they must have seen my messages a few days back. Like continuously at regular intervals, we are encouraging people to take Siksha, right? So this is the reason why, that they should come in a bona fide Guru Shishya Parampara. They should come in a bona fide disciplic succession, right? So that they can understand first the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and then once they are mature, once they are ripe enough, they can just transfer that message to other people as well. Okay, so this is the importance of Guru Shishya Parampara. At no point of time, any authorized response speaker will see that they are using this term according to me, in my opinion, or I feel. We simply repeat what we have learned in the parampara, and we simply try to give references to the verses of the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, or any other Upanishads. Okay, so this is the most important aspect of this shloka. Another thing, what Prabhupada is mentioning, which is very important in this shloka, is the process of atonement. Now, this process of atonement is basically to remove all the sinful reactions in this present life itself. Okay, there is a system of maybe a ritual or some austerities or some penances that one has to perform in order to get rid of the sinful activities. Okay, but this process of atonement is basically very temporary. Like, yes, you can do some penances, you can perform some austerities, but and you will be cleansed of all your sinful reactions. But then that tendency to commit the sinful activities is still there within us. Okay, so it's just like taking a bath in the Ganges river, and then coming out and then performing the sinful activities again. Then what is the use, right? If you have noticed how an elephant takes a bath, like it goes to the river or any water body which is available, very nicely they take bath, and then when they come out, they simply throw the sand and mud all over their bodies. There might be some biological reason for doing that, but then what is the use, right? Like you take a bath and then dirtying yourself once again, correct? So, but then still, our Vedas suggest that there are certain sinful activities. Sorry, there are certain penances or certain atonements that we can do to get rid of our sinful activities, which are known as prayaschitta, right? And in order to do that, it's a long process, basically, correct? But then what Prabhupada is saying here is that there is a system in Varnashram institution by which before death one has to go under the process of atonement for the sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of atonement called Prayaschitta. Without doing so, one will be surely transferred to hellish planets and undergo miserable lives as the result of sinful activities. So, but the question here is that in this age of Kali Yuga, when our lifespan is so small, correct? Who has the time? And we are so busy with our all mundane activities that we are doing, correct? So, how will we perform the rituals and how will we perform, the penances which are very severe actually, and austerities? No one wants to perform austerities. Just ask them to follow the four regulative principles. People just run away from us, right? That why should I give up non-vegetarian food? Why should I give up drinking? Why should I give up smoking? Correct. So the question of austerity is not there in this Kali Yuga. Okay. So then what to do? Like, is there no other way to do that? But so the good part is that there is a way, and it is better than every other process of atonement, because this is a permanent solution. Okay, which Kali Yuga gives us actually. Okay. A very nice verse I am remembering from Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Agyanat atva gyanat uttam shlokam namyat sankirtitam agham pumso dahe dedho yathanalah. So I'll just try to bring up the actual translation. It's a beautiful translation actually. Just give me a second. Yeah, okay. So it says, I'll repeat the shloka once again. Agyanat atva gyanat uttam shloka namayat sankirtitam agham pumso dahe dedho yathanalah. Which means knowingly or unknowingly. Okay, knowingly or unknowingly. If one chants the holy names of Krishna, all the sins which one has committed and which may seem to be like a big mountain will be burned down just like the fire burned down the dry grass. Now, isn't that wonderful? Okay, just by chanting the names of Krishna, the holy names of Krishna, all the sins will be completely eradicated. And not only that, like if we continue to chant, with full dedication and full devotion towards Krishna, slowly the propensity to commit those sinful reactions will also be eradicated from our hearts. Our hearts will be completely cleansed, of all the material desires, of all the anarthas and all the pap karmas which are there. Correct? So this is a wonderful thing. So that is why we, ask people, lay so much stress on chanting, that they should keep chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because in human life, the sins will be committed. Okay. Even if you are breathing, there will be sinful reactions, because by doing so, you are actually, inhaling so many microorganisms and they are losing their lives. Okay. So that Jeev Hatya, sin of that Jeev Hatya is there, with you always. Even if someone just simply sits at one place and does nothing. So what to speak of, engaging ourselves in some physical activities. Okay. So sins will be there. And the process of atonement are very difficult. It's not possible in the stage of Kali Yuga also, because of the short lifespan and the busy schedule, so-called busy schedule that we have. So the only thing which can save us is the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay. So this is the conclusion of this particular shloka. So let's move on to the next verse. And okay, we have so many other joinees also. Welcome everyone. So Ishita Mataji done, Usha Mataji done. Who wants to go next? Rupali Mataji, will you be able to read? Yes. Samanvita Mataji, will you be able to read? Okay, Sindhu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Okay, Samanvita Mataji is there. Okay, yeah, sure, Mataji. You can please go ahead and try to read. And,
1 second, Prabhuji, I have to wear my specs. 1 second.
okay, yeah, no worries, no worries. Take your time.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Ahopata mahatpapam kartum vyavashita vayam yadrajya shukhalobhena antum swajanam udyataha. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Driven by selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful acts as the killing of one's own brother, father, or mother. There are many such instances in the history of the world, but Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. Hare Krishna.
Nice. Okay, so another beautiful verse. The purports are very short in chapter 1, but they have a lot to convey, basically. Okay, so we'll see what Prabhupada is saying here. And so, in this particular shloka, what Arjun is saying that, alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts, preparing or rather thinking to create sinful acts. What is that sinful act? Hantum swajana mudyataha. That means we want to kill our own relatives. Hantum means to kill, and swajana means our own relative, our own kinsman. Okay. For what we are trying to do that, Arjun is saying, Yadra rajasya sukhalobhena. Right? For lob means greed. For lob, they are, and what is that greed? Rajya sukh. Okay, to enjoy royal happiness. So he's saying that we are thinking. So Arjun, just look at his consciousness. He's saying that even the thought of killing our own kinsmen is greatly sinful. Correct. So what to speak of, actually going ahead and killing them. So this is a very important thing to understand, and important concept to understand. Okay, that what is the difference between the other yugas and the Kali Yuga, and what is the what are the benefits that we have in Kali Yuga, okay, compared to other yugas. Okay. So in other yugas, although people were more pious, especially if you go to the Satyuga or Treta Yuga, the piety was very much there, and the lifespan was also huge. Like in Satyuga, people used to live for 1 lakh years. And similarly, with every yuga, the lifespan comes down by 10, okay, divided by 10. So in Treta Yuga, it came down to 10,000 years. In Dwapar Yuga, it came down to 1,000 years, the maximum life. And in Kali Yuga, we live maybe up to 100 years. Okay, like we don't even see people crossing 100 these days. But the maximum lifespan is said to be 100 years in Kali Yuga. Okay, so the previous yugas had more piety in the people. The lifespan was big, so they were able to perform the meditative, yoga system which was there, right? And they could attain Vaikuntha planets, or maybe the Brahma Jyoti, whatever the level of devotion was there within them. Okay, but in Kali Yuga, these things are not possible at all. Okay, but okay, one another important aspect of the other yugas was that. If someone had any sinful thoughts even in their minds, okay, that would incur sinful reactions. Okay, this was there in the previous yuga, that even by thought we have to be very clean, and we have to be very pious. Even a slight what to say, contamination in our thoughts will lead to sinful reactions, and the person can go to hell also. Okay, but this is not the case in Kali Yuga. Although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, okay, but there are some good aspects also. And one such aspect is that whatever we think in our mind, uh, that will not account for sinful reactions. Okay, so this is one good thing. But then we have to be very, very careful. Okay, why? Because if we continuously meditate on some bad thoughts or some sinful thoughts, then slowly and but surely it will translate into either speech or into action. And once either of these two happens, we are liable for punishment. We are actually, incurring sinful reactions on us. Okay, so we have to be very careful that although any like what to say, mental like anything which we are thinking which is not right, which is sinful, but it's there only in our mind, that will not account for any sinful reactions. But the moment it translates into speech or into action, then sinful reactions will be there. Okay, so in this way, we are actually somewhat saved in this age of Kali Yuga. Another good part of Kali Yuga is that if we try to think something good about others, okay, then even if it's there in our mind, it will account for pious credits. Okay, so no sinful reactions for thinking bad things about others or any for any sinful thoughts in the mind. But if we have good thoughts in our mind, then the pious credits are there. So this is one strong point of Kali Yuga. And another good point is that simply by chanting the names of the Holy Lord, okay, one can just attain the Vaikuntha planets, or if we do it very sincerely, we can even go back home, back to Krishna in the Golok Vrindavan. Okay, very beautiful shloka, which is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, "Kalera dosh nidhe rajan, asti heko mahan guna, kirtanadeva Krishnasya mukta sangha param rajet." That is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite slokas that is saying that although, oh my dear king, um, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, but yet there is one very good quality, one very Mahan Gun in Kali Yuga. What is that? Kirtanad eva Krishnasya. That simply by chanting or doing Kirtan of Krishna, Mukta Sangha Param Raget, will go back home, back to Krishna. They'll break the cycle of death and go back home, back to Krishna. Okay? So these are some of the benefits of Kali Yuga. And yes, what else we have seen? So the whole context was that Arjun is saying that, okay, simply by thinking, actually, we are committing sinful acts. So what to speak of going ahead and actually killing our own relatives? Okay. So just see what the Prabhupada is saying here. But Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. So this is the kind of consciousness we also need to inculcate, that, okay, we know that in Kali Yuga, if we are performing any sinful thoughts in our minds, then we do not incur any sinful reactions. But that doesn't mean we should, uncontrollably go on thinking and thinking and thinking, bad things or sinful activities within our mind. No, we should take an example of Arjun, right, who is very careful of not performing any sinful activities even in his mind. Okay, so that there is no question of such activities being manifest in form of speech or action at any later point of time. Okay, so this is what we can take away from this particular shloka. So we'll move ahead to the next one. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so let me read the next one. And which did we see? Ah. So Arjuna is saying here, Yadi mam pratikaram shastram shastra panayah dhartarashtrarane hanyus tanme kshemataram bhavet. So another very nice shloka, and we also have a small story with it. So this is going to be interesting. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, with weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. It is a custom, according to Kshatriya fighting principle, that an unarmed and unwilling foe should not be attacked. Arjun, however, decided that even if attacked by the enemy in such an awkward position, he would not fight. He did not consider how much other party was bent upon fighting. All these symptoms, very important point, all these symptoms are due to soft-heartedness resulting from his being the great devotee of the Lord. Okay, so very important verse and some nice takeaways from here. Okay, so now Arjun is saying here that, okay, oh Krishna, I am not willing to fight. Even if the sons of Dhritarashtra are ready to kill me, and even when I am unarmed and not willing to fight, it's okay. Okay, but I am not going to fight. So it may be questioned that why Arjun was doing that. So Arjun's thought process was that, okay, it might be just like a prashchita or an atonement for all the sins that I have committed by simply thinking of killing my own kinsmen. So let them kill me. I am not ready to fight. Okay, but important thing to note here is that the Kauravas were hell bent on fighting. Okay, they were not willing to give up the kingdom just like that. Okay, So everyone on the Kaurava side, they were bent upon fighting, and there was absolutely no scope for a compromise there. Okay. So then, why this particular condition of Arjun is so pitiful, in this scenario? Okay, because not fighting for a Kshatriya means losing the occupation. Okay, like we have seen in the system of Varnashrama that any society, whether they follow a particular caste system or not, first of all, Varnashram is not a caste system. Second of all, that uh, any society, even if they have a caste system or they do not have a caste system, there is a natural division occurring in the society with Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, four categories of people in them. Okay. So Brahmanas are more intellectual class. They are into more, kind of philosophy and teaching and, studying some whether material things or spiritual activities. But yeah, you can say they are related to the study of any particular subject matter. Correct. And by nature, they are very tolerant. They are soft-hearted, and these are the qualities with which Brahmanas operate. Okay. Uh, if you try to, like, money is never a motivation for a Brahmana. Okay, they are more into, they look at the bigger picture of things. Okay, so that is how Brahmanas operate. Secondly is the second comes the Kshatriya. Now Kshatriya means administrative class or the ruling class. Okay, so that is their occupation. Okay, to conquer a kingdom and then to rule over the people. Now, if a Kshatriya doesn't fight, or they are not willing to fight, then what happens? That means they are giving up their occupation. There is no other means by which Kshatriya can survive. Okay, the only thing left for a Kshatriya is begging, basically, right? So this is a very, like an awkward condition for a Kshatriya and a very pitiful condition for a Kshatriya, right? So even thinking of about begging is very disastrous for a Kshatriya. What to speak of actually giving up that occupation of fighting. Okay, so a very nice example, which I can uh, like narrate here in this context is the uh, pastime of Bhim. Like if you remember in the 20th verse, I guess I narrated a pastime of Bhim and Hanuman. Right, there was a term which was used in that verse, Kapidhwaja, that Hanuman was seated on the flag of the Arjun's chariot. Okay, and how that happened, we had seen that Draupadi asked Bhim to bring some lotus flowers, very sweet smelling lotus flowers, and he started walking, and then he meets Hanuman, and then some nice conversations take place. Hanuman blesses him, Lord Hanuman blesses him that he will be always present with the Pandavas. And then after that, what happens, that Bhim moves on. Okay, and finally he reaches the place where that lotus flowers were growing. There was a very beautiful lake within the middle of the forest, and that lake actually belonged to Kuvera. Okay, uh, so Kuvera is, if anyone doesn't know, he is the banker of the demigods, actually. Okay, a very rich personality and a very close friend of Lord Shiva. Uh, nice best friend to have, right? But yeah, so he's the banker of the demigods, and that particular water body, it belonged to him, and the lotus flowers also belonged to him. And because it was Kuvera's water body, there were a lot of yakshas and rakshasas who were actually guarding that lake. Okay, yeah. So what happened, that Bhim actually goes to that lake, and without taking anyone's permission, he just sees the lotus flower and dives into that lake and starts plucking the flower from there. So seeing this, all the yakshas and gandharvas and the rakshasas, they actually show up, and they say that, what the hell are you doing? Like this particular water body, it belongs to Kuvera, so you just go and first seek permission from him. If he gives you the permission, then you can take as much lotus flowers as you want, but please, without any permission, do not try to pluck please don't try to pluck a single flower, okay, from this lake. So on hearing this, immediately Bhim jumped out of the lake and came onto the shore, and then rowed, towards those yakshas and rakshasas. That I am a Kshatriya. Okay, I am not supposed to take any permission from anyone. Okay, begging is not my profession. So you can just imagine, what would have happened after that. All the rakshasas and the yakshas, they attacked Bhim, and needless to say, Bhim defeated all of them. Okay, and took those flowers with him. So this is the Kshatriya mentality. This is the Kshatriya attitude. Okay, that they never go and seek permission for anything. Okay, they just go and conquer. Okay, they fight and they conquer. Okay, this is what a Kshatriya does. So the giving up, not fighting for a Kshatriya is a very awkward position. Okay, so this is a very awkward position for Arjun, and this is one thing. And second thing, which is mentioned, Arjun is mentioning that let the sons of Dhritarashtra kill me even if I am unarmed. Okay, Mam Pritikarakam Shastram. Okay, that means let them attack, let them kill me, and even if I'm unarmed and I'm not opposing, I'm not willing to fight. In that condition, also I'm ready to die. So this is again another very awkward position, okay, for Kshatriya, because according to Kshatriya Dharma, if I can cite a few examples, like from Srimad Bhagavatam, is that when two Kshatriyas are fighting, okay, and in that process, if uh, the weapon falls down from the hand of one Kshatriya, then the etiquette was that the other one will not attack until the Kshatriya picks up another weapon or maybe the same weapon. Okay, or if the weapon has, say, for example, they are engaged in a sword fight or a gada yudh or something like that, then if the sword or a gada falls down from the hands of one Kshatriya, then the other one will give him an opportunity, chalo, uthao, uthao, like that. And that is a very embarrassing situation for a Kshatriya. Or if the weapon falls down at a very far distance from him, then this particular Kshatriya, he also just throws away the weapon and then they engage in simple hand-to-hand combat, which is known as the Malla Yuddha, right? A wrestling kind of thing, right? And then they used to fight. So this was the etiquette at that time. It's not like Kali Yuga that we are having guns and pistols with us and just simply just shoot them right from a distance. No question of hand-to-hand combat at all, right? So, right, or even if we are, in the age of Kali Yuga, they're fighting with sword or a knife or something, they will just try to stab it in the back as well. Okay. So these are not the Kshatriya etiquettes. Okay, Kshatriya, previously the battle also was fought with a lot of rules and regulations, and they had very high standards. In those times. Example that I can cite is that the battle which was going on between Indra and Vritasura. This you can find in, I think, fifth or sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, and what happened that Indra and Vritasura were fighting, and Vritasura attacked Indra, and Indra lost his weapon. Okay, his weapon fell down from his hand. So Vritasura said, "Acha, chalo, uthao. I am waiting till you pick it up." Similarly, in the second canto, we will see the fight which was happening between Varahadev and Hiranyaksh, right? So they were fighting, and Varahadev just gave one tight slap to Hiranyaksh, and he lost his weapon. Okay, so at that time also Varahadev said, "Uthao, right? You first pick up your weapon and then come," like that. So this is the Kshatriya etiquette. But here we see that Arjun is not ready to do even that. He's ready that, okay, fine, I will not pick up the weapon, you just kill me. Okay. So this is a very awkward position for a Kshatriya. Okay. But Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here clearly that this particular situation is not because of the cowardness. Arjun was not a coward, right? He was a Kshatriya in every sense, right? But all these symptoms are due to the soft-heartedness resulting from him being a great devotee of Krishna. Okay. So another thing which this particular verse teaches us is that we have to inculcate that soft-heartedness within us. Okay, he was so tolerant that he was even ready to die at the hands of Kauravas, in a non-resisting way. Okay, so at times, especially in this Kali Yuga, people are very quarrelsome. This age is of basically quarrel and disagreement. Okay, Kali Yuga is an age of quarrel and disagreement. So people are, very easily triggered. Okay, like anger is just sitting right on the nose of everyone. Okay, with a small argument is there or small disagreement is there, and people are very eager to fight actually, right? So we have to be tolerant in such a situation, because if we have to exist in a society, in a proper society, in a peaceful society, then everyone has to be little tolerant and little understanding that, okay, everyone may not think the way we do, right? So difference of opinions will be there, And the best thing is to talk it out. Okay, so in devotees, these qualities, they come naturally, right? Because we have seen, like we'll also see in the Bhagavad Gita and in other scriptures also, it has been clearly mentioned that those who are pure devotees of the Lord, all the good qualities of demigods, they automatically manifest within that person. Okay, so for devotees, it's not a problem. But this particular shloka of Bhagavad Gita inspires us to, become a pure devotee of Lord and to become little more tolerant towards others. Okay, so this is what is being said here. So this brings us to the last shloka of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, and we will just read it and we will conclude the session for today. Let me share my screen again. Yes, Ishita Mataji, can you read once again? Mataji, I think you're on mute or I can't hear you. Is it just me or others are also not able to hear?
Mic testing?
Yes, I can hear it now.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Just repeat after me, Mataji, please. Sanjay Uvacha
Sanjay Uvacha
Eva Muktarjuna Sankhe
Eva Muktarjuna Sankhe
Rathopastha Upavishat
Rathopastha Upavishat
Visrijya Sasharam Chapam
Visrijya Saram Chapam
Shoka Samvigna Manasaha.
Shoka Samvigna Manasaha.
Read the translation and the purport.
Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. The purport says, while observing the situation of his enemy, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. Such a kind and soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. Thus,
Very important line. Yeah. Please go ahead, Mataji. Read that as well. Yeah.
Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of observing the armies of battlefield of Kurukshetra.
A very important line here. Such kind and soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive the knowledge. So a hard-hearted person can never progress in devotional service, right? We have to be soft-hearted. Only then we will be, feeling that emotional ecstasy, of which comes along with devotional service, right? Only then we will be fit for self-realization, the knowledge of self-realization. Okay, very important verse. This also, this actually states the mental condition of Arjuna, right? That he's so much overwhelmed with compassion and grief and lamentation that he's about to kill his own kinsman, that he keeps aside his Gandiva bow, right? And if you all can recall, I think it was in 29th verse, or yeah, I think 29th verse, if I'm not mistaken, where he had taken a vow, Arjuna had taken a vow, right? That anyone who asks him to give up the Gandiva bow, like Arjuna will behead that person. Correct? He had taken, and who asked him? If you can anyone recall that incident? Who asked him to give up the Gandiva bow? So it was Yudhishthir, actually, right? So when Karna was actually firing on all cylinders towards the end, almost end of the Mahabharat war, Kurukshetra war, so Yudhishthir got injured and he actually went back to his camp to recapitulate, right? And Arjun came looking after him, very concerned, just to see that his brother was okay. And then Yudhishthir asked him that did he kill Karna? He was very happy. Initially, he thought that Arjun had killed Karna. So Arjun said, no, I just came to see that if you are okay or not, I have to go back and kill him. So hearing this, Yudhishthir became angry and he said that what is the use of you being a Kshatriya? You can't even kill Karna. So give up your Gandiva bow. Like that, he said. When Arjun heard these statements from Yudhishthir, he started pulling out his sword. Why? Because he had taken a vow. So Krishna stopped him, and we all know, like all of you can go through that pastime, the video of that pastime. I may also try to create a short maybe of that and try to upload that. But yeah, that is one thing. So the whole point is that this bow which Arjun used to carry along with him was so important. Like he could not part with his bow actually. And that very bow, now just by seeing his own kinsmen and own relatives on the battlefield, like he himself kept it aside, right, and sat down on the chariot. Sitting down on the chariot means he is just saying to Krishna ki ab humse na ho paega, right? I cannot do this, Krishna. Let's not fight. I will not fight. Okay. So this is what this means. And initially we have seen that he was very enthusiastic, right? He actually ordered Krishna, right, to take the chariot between the two armies, right? And uh, like he's ordering Krishna to take the chariot between the two armies. Till that time he was very excited. The moment he saw all his kinsmen and relatives, standing there on against him in the battlefield, these doubts started creeping him, right? So what to say? I see a battle cannot be equated with anything else. But in this age of Kali Yuga, where is this Kurukshetra war? Where are Kshatriyas? Where is this battle happening? I think we cannot see these things, live in this particular age, right? But then one very crude analogy, okay, very crude analogy. I repeat, okay, this is not something that I'm trying to equate one thing with the other, okay, but just some common points I'm trying to, bring here is that, say, for example, we are holding a very big ritual at our home, very big ceremony at our home, and the invitations have been sent to all the people, right? And the date of that ceremony has arrived. People, like, family members have gathered. The person who is about to perform the ceremony is sitting. The priest is also sitting, and at that time, if the person who has to perform the ceremony, like he or she says that, no, we are not going to do this, what will be the situation then? All the guests are there, and everyone is there. Something similar, actually, not exactly. I'm repeating that I'm not equating this, with a battle, but something similar happened on this battlefield of Kurukshetra. The armies from both the sides were assembled on the battlefield. They were very eager to fight. Okay, and just before the battle starts, Arjun is saying that, "Oh Krishna, I will not fight." And he just keeps aside the bow, right? So this is what happens, when we are in the body consciousness. The grief and lamentation and everything that they simply just take over. They are too overwhelming for any human being to handle, right? Until and unless we are in Krishna consciousness, until and unless we are in the right consciousness, until and unless we identify ourselves correctly that we are eternal part and parcels of Krishna, our eternal constitutional position is to be the loving servant of Krishna. Till then, Maya will keep on giving us dhobi pachhad like this. Okay, and there is no escaping that. Okay, so this is the conclusion of this particular verse, and with that, uh, I would like to thank each and every single one of you that you are all coming every Saturday evening. It's a very big thing, actually, to just keep all your plans aside on weekend and then to be here in the association of devotees and read the Bhagavad Gita. You truly are the saints of Kali Yuga. And just by being physically present in this session, okay, like all of you are helping me to fulfill the desire and instructions of my spiritual master. So you all are very, very blessed. I'm telling you, like, I don't have enough words to tell you how much fortunate and how much blessed you all are. Okay. So with this, we come to an end of chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita. We'll start the chapter 2 maybe next week. I think Ishita Mataji has, just given a very nice suggestion that we will be, they have a lot of questions, some people. So next week, we'll simply dedicate one full complete session on question and answers. Okay. And yes, with that, I would like to stop here. If any one of you has any realizations to share or any questions or anything, you can just ask. Ishita Mataji is raising her hand right away. Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
So, Raghuji, I have a couple of questions on this. from the last session as well as from today's session.
Yes, yes,
So,
Mataji, please go ahead.
from the last session, where we also discussed that Arjuna was worried that if a war like this happens, there will be so many lives that will be lost, and that will eventually impact the women of the society, which is not good for the next generations.
Correct,
Now,
correct.
with this, while researching this part a little more, I also found one article written by uh, a non-Sanatana Dharma person. Why I'm saying non-Sanatana Dharma person? Because that article was, I mean, there was that wasn't very conclusive. It talks about the gender parity that suddenly dropped down. I mean, the ratio suddenly dropped down because of something. They do not have an answer, but probably as we read in Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata happened, and of course, so many lives were lost. Does Mahabharata talks anything? Sorry, that's my little one. Does Mahabharata talks about how that gender parity was handled at a later stage? Because that will give us some answers. I mean, when the situation was really getting disturbed after the gender parity happened, how that was made little better, because that was still not Kali Yuga. That was still
Yeah. Yeah, that was still Dwapar Yuga, Mataji, but I think Kali Yuga had already crept in. Okay, it was the end of Dwapar Yuga, right? So it is said that after the battle of Kurukshetra, Pandavas ruled over the kingdom of Hastinapur only for 37 years. Okay, and after that, the grandson of Yudhishthir Maharaj, the Parikshit Maharaj, he became the king of Hastinapur. Okay, and Pandavas had quit their bodies after that. Okay, so Kali Yuga had already entered, and it had started. It tried to spread uh, in the society basically, but Parikshit Maharaj caught him actually. Okay, and that Kali personified. He caught hold of him, and he said that you cannot live in my kingdom. You just go away from here. So Kalyuga was also very intelligent. So he said that, okay, but you are saying to leave the kingdom, but where should I go? This entire planet belongs to you. That's this entire planet is your kingdom. Okay, so you tell me what to do. So he said that, okay, I give you 4 places where you can reside. Okay, one is the place where uh, what to say, a slaughterhouse. Okay, where the animals are killed. Okay, you can reside there. Second is place where gambling takes place. You can reside there. That means all the casinos which are there, slaughterhouses, casinos. Third is the place where prostitution takes place. Okay, you can reside there. And finally, you can reside at uh, intoxication is also done. Yeah, place where drinks are served. Okay, or intoxication takes place. Okay, that means all the bars which are there. So these are all 4 places where Kalyuga resides, and these are the 4 regulative principles that we follow. Okay, we try to avoid these places and these activities altogether. Okay, so when you speak of gender parity, see, already the damage was done after the Kalyuga war. Okay, and after that, as I said, that there was an increase in the Varna Shankar population. Okay, so obviously that population was very religious. As long as Parikshit Maharaj was there, things were under control. But then, he was also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll read that, he was also cursed by the son of one of the sages. And he also quit his body, after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami. So after Parikshit Maharaj left, everything was into chaos. Okay, and at that time, basically all these sages, at that time who were there, they met in a place called Naimisharanya, and they actually tried to brainstorm that what could be done. Neither Krishna is here now, nor the Pandavas are there, and Parikshit Maharaj is also gone. What will be the fate of the people of Kalyuga? How will they be saved? Because Kalyuga, it will be an ocean of faults. There is no scope for anyone, to break the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. So in that scenario, there was one sage known as Shonak Muni. He said that, okay, Vyasdev has given us Srimad Bhagavatam. So that Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. And persons who follow the principles of Srimad Bhagavatam and the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, they will be saved, and rest all will be completely polluted. Okay. So this gender parity, that has never happened, Mataji, to answer your question. Okay. As Kali Yuga progressed, actually, it has only deteriorated, right? The reasons can be many. Okay. that obviously people became more irresponsible because of the unwanted population that grew. And in that, what happened that both men and women, they are actually drifting away from their eternal dharma. Okay, that there are certain rules and regulations set aside for men to follow. There are certain rules and regulations which are set aside for women to follow. Right? Neither of them are actually following that. We are simply living our lives, according to our own whims and fantasies, according to our own sweet will. Okay, whatever we want to do, whatever we want to eat, my life, my rules, these kind of videos you see, right? These days. So, to be honest, like the situation is not very good right now, and it's going to be worse as the Kali Yuga progresses. Okay, so you will see all these things like, especially this gender war, or, that, what to say, the collision between the genders rather than, being, uh, you know, rather than staying in a very, what to say, cooperative mood and trying to complement each other, because see, there are certain things which men can do and women can't. There are certain things which only women can do, men can't. Okay, so they have to be. They are just like wheels of a particular, what to say, an automobile or maybe a bicycle. You can say, right? Without one wheel, the other wheel is not sufficient to drive the society alone, right? So they need each other, but unfortunately, what to say, it's just the effect of this age of Kali that things are actually deteriorating. So, and in the due course, what happened that this particular knowledge also got lost. The true knowledge also got lost because all of these dhongi babas who have started coming up. Okay, who have started interpreting these shastras and the Vedic scriptures according to their own thought processes. Okay, as I said, that in my opinion, according to me, all those things started coming in, right? So everything is like topsy turvy. What Srila Prabhupada says, in his lectures in Kali Yuga. So no one, Varnashram is completely lost, and everything is like in utter chaos. So the only hope that we have is that we start reading the Bhagavad Gita. It's a very nice manual which clearly explains do's and don'ts. Right? If everyone just sticks to that, then we don't need to follow anything else. Bhagavad Gita is more than enough to take us home back to Godhead, back to Krishna. But yes, we have to do it, and that effort should be there from our side. Okay. So to answer your question, yes, that disparity is there, and it will continue to be there as per the scriptures. But yes, if people who take to Krishna consciousness, people who read the Bhagavad Gita regularly, people who chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they will be actually saved from these evil effects of Kali Yuga. Did I answer that, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. I had one last question.
Yes.
Was Bhagavad Gita given or spoken to any of the Brahmins? Because Arjuna was a Kshatriya, basically, and he had things to take care of. But then, if you see Brahmana, I mean, they will have more knowledge to understand, to absorb,
Yes.
and preach the Bhagavad Gita.
Correct. Yeah. Very good
Was it-
question. Very good question, Mataji. I think the answer you will get in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So,
Okay.
yes, by default, like we understand, as you are saying, you are right that okay, Brahmanas are more well equipped to understand the Bhagavad Gita and everything. But why only Kshatriyas? Okay. So we will see in the 4th chapter that this particular knowledge, which is the divine knowledge, it is meant for the kings actually, Rajarshis. Okay, who so kings who are very pious and who follow the religious practices very nicely, they are known as Rajarshis because they are rajas as well as the rishis. Okay, so it is meant for them. Why? Because they are in a very elevated position. So any person who is in an elevated position, people try to simply emulate them or try to follow on their footsteps. Okay. So if someone who is maybe say a prime minister or in a role of a president or or a head of the state, if that person is very pious and follows very religious principles very nicely, then automatically it will have a very positive effect on the entire society. A Brahmana, on the other hand, is someone who operates alone, basically. Okay, like okay, fine, like when some invitation is there to give some talks or maybe to perform some pujas, they will be there, they will speak, and it will be like okay, come and go kind of thing. Okay, but a person who is in a authoritative position, who is continuously right, what to say, in a ruling position, right, then whatever he says or she says, people will simply follow it. Okay, they will just try to emulate him. So emulate him or her. Okay, so in keeping that in mind, this particular divine knowledge is actually, Krishna is saying in the 4th chapter that it is meant for the Rajarshis. So he actually imparted this knowledge first to the sun god Vivaswan. Okay, and that was many years before Bhagavad Gita was spoken. And from then Vivaswan actually gave it to Manu, his son. And then from Manu it went on to Ishwaku. From Ishwaku is the same person in whose lineage Lord Ramchandra was born. Okay, so Krishna says that in due course of time, what happens that this knowledge actually, the chain of this knowledge is the chain of disciplic succession through which this knowledge is transferred is broken. So he says that paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. That means to remove all the miscreants from the society, to protect all the pious souls, and to re-establish the principles of dharma. I will come, I will, incarnate myself in each and every yuga over and over again. Okay? So the reason why this was spoken to Kshatriya, or this knowledge is given to Kshatriyas, because they are the ruling class, and if they are leading a good pious life, then obviously the masses will follow them. Okay, a Brahmana alone cannot do that. Okay, so Kshatriyas are basically more influential. That is why it is being spoken to them. It is basically meant for them. Right? I hope I answered that, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else by anyone? Any questions, any queries, any realizations? Okay. If not, then I would like to thank all of you once again. Especially, I am actually overwhelmed with the kind of attendance that I'm getting here. I'll be happier if we take it one notch up, one notch up, one notch above. Just try to bring in your family members, any people whom you meet. Just try to spread the word that okay, we are having this Gita class every Saturday. Please come and join. Let them come and let them see. Like if they are liking it, they can just stay back, or if they are not, then they can leave. I mean, there is no forcing anyone over here. But at least try to spread the message. Okay, do your part, and then let's leave the rest to Krishna. Okay. With that, I would like to conclude today's session. We will meet next week. It will be a purely question and answer session. And then after that, we will start with the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita.